Okay, until 45 after, so then we'll go to your calls. Is Greg Palast. He really doesn't need an introduction for a lot of people. He's a real investigative journalist. I don't even necessarily agree with maybe 10, 15% of his political views, but I 100% believe in his analysis. He really is an old-fashioned investigative journalist for BBC, ABC. He's done other made films, best-selling author. His new book is Vulture's Picnic in Pursuit of Petroleum, Pigs, Power, Pirates, and High Finance Carnivores. And there, of course, is Greg on the back. He's about to join us via video Skype. But before he gets into his new book, and then I want to get his take on the world today and you know, snapshots, Iran, Israel, police state, USA, Obama. I want to bring him back to my book, Descent into Tyranny, which is just the last chapter is excerpts of my interview with him. 2002, he gets all these documents from the IMF and World Bank. He publishes some on BBC's top news show, their 60 Minutes equivalent, and they say, don't release the rest of them. So those never got released. But he released some, but he did see them all. Right around the time Joseph Stiglitz, I guess, left the World Bank, Nobel Prize winner for economics, also, I think, won for something else. He's a two-time. The point is, he won't say he released them, but whatever. This documented how the IMF, World Bank take over countries, how they bankrupt them by design through fraud, and how they were going to do it in the West. And Palast, now, close to 10 years ago, really predicted what was coming. And so in light of that, open world government, corporate government being announced as a solution to the crisis they created. Greg, break down in hindsight 2002 in those documents versus now what happened, and then where you see us going and how it integrates into Vulture's Picnic.
Oh, boy. Well, actually, Chapter 12 is where it integrates in. I had to go back into the documents when Greece exploded. And sure enough, I found the documents on Greece, and in particular, a memo from Tim Geithner, who was our Secretary of Treasury, Tim Geithner to Larry Summers, who was our economic czar. And these are the kind of typhoid Marys of bank deregulation, which got us where we are. And it was their program to force all 155 nations that were members of the World Trade Organization into joining the deregulation mania. In other words, everyone into the leprosy colony. And it was a secret document. And here's what I find interesting. They're ready to pull the trigger. But not until they had called, Geithner told Summers he had to call 5 banks for approval to move ahead. J.P. Morgan, Bank of America, Citibank, and of course we ended up there with Goldman Sachs. And in my book, Vulture's Picnic, by the way, I have the personal phone numbers of all these CEOs. I think Penguin, my publisher, thought that I had faked it. The memo is right there, and those numbers are live. I'm sure they won't be by Monday when the book releases.
Incredible. What? No, go ahead.
No, so I had to authenticate some of these documents, of course, and many were authenticated by Joe Stiglitz, who'd been head of the World Bank, and now because he has a Nobel Prize, he feels free, not head of it, the chief economist, he feels free to authenticate. But the stuff from the World Trade Organization, because of my position with BBC, I was able to actually meet with the head of the WTO. And he says, the Frenchman, Pascal Lamy, who was head of the big French bank, Suez Lyonnais, and he says, we are not a cabal of bankers, some evil duck cabal. And I said, okay, well, you're not a cabal, but tell me about these documents here, and I pulled them out. And it really made him smile. You see in the book, you know, so basically he starts explaining it all away. These secret meetings, all the bankers, to reestablish the new world banking order, where, you know, they have absolute stone control, and the punishment that would be meted out to any country, and they picked out, for example, Brazil, if they got in the way of the banks operating without control. In other words, it's a one-way system. It's not like there's no government involvement. They want the government to back it up. Basically, they want to have a casino where if they lose, you insure them. If they win, they say that they are job creators and they get to keep it. So you actually see these documents in Vulture's Picnic, and then after I take the documents to the head of the World Trade Organization, Lamy, get him to authenticate. And then I fly off to Quito to meet with the president of Ecuador and show him the Ecuador documents, which stunned him because he kept saying, he's an economist, the president of Ecuador. And he said, I think that there are secrets agreement between the big banks and the IMF and the World Bank to rip our economy apart. And, of course, he was derided as a conspiracy nut and all that. And so I decided, I called the president, and he brought me in. And I showed him the documents. I said, you may be a conspiracy nut, but, of course, you're 100% correct. Here's the evidence. So he took copies of all the material, and he made them public in Ecuador.
Amazing. Now, Greg Palast, now looking back, and then from that point looking forward, where are the banksters, the mega corporations today? What's happening in Libya, Iran? Geopolitically, from your research, why are they on the verge of attacking Iran? What's your view on that? Well,
I think that they're on the verge of constantly rattling their sabers to keep the war machine greased. Whether they actually attack or not we don't know. It's important to keep the pot boiling. It's important to keep people on the edge of their chair, that the terrorists are coming to get you. It's the Iranians. It's the Libyans. It's someone coming to get you. They have to keep this very, very lucrative war machine and terror machine going. For example, like right now, I was just meeting with Greek journalists, and they're saying, for example, in Greece, where the whole nation's on fire, and now it's happening in Italy and Spain. Greece was a crime scene, and this is very important. This is also in Vulture's Picnic. It's not about lazy Greeks who sit around, swilling ouzo and spitting out olive pits, and they, retire when they're 18 years old, and they're just a bunch of lazy bums who want to live on pensions like pashas. That's nonsense. Greece is a crime scene. There was a deal cut between Goldman Sachs and the prior Greek government, in which the Greek government handed Goldman Sachs euros, 2.3 billion euros. Goldman converted them to yen, Japanese yen, and then reconverted them back into euros at a massive loss to Goldman, which gave the Greek government a massive gain to cover up a deficit. Now, Goldman doesn't lose money, especially not deliberately. So they're not stupid. They're stupid like foxes. It was a phony transaction for which Goldman was paid over $250 billion. So for one little transaction, every senior partner of Goldman got a little extra million for their weekend. But the result was that of this flim-flam, when it was uncovered, is, of course, the economy simply imploded, and Greece has to pay something in the area of 9% above normal to borrow money on the euro. No one could survive that. And so then we're told it's the Greek people.
So it's the same model we've seen in Argentina and Nigeria and everywhere else. It's the same bankster model. So I want to hear you predict, as you did 9 years ago, where we're now going to go in the future. How does Greg Palast see all this shaking out in the economy? Stay with us.
Making the right decisions is a challenge to investors. Are we going to see economic growth, slide into a recession, or at worst, depression? Hi, Ted Anderson from Midas Resources. We all know when a company acts irresponsibly, divesting ourselves in a move towards safety is prudent. When the market becomes volatile, U.S. Treasuries are a safe haven. But what do you do when the U.S. government overextends itself and spends beyond its means? Many investors are turning toward gold as a common-sense alternative to traditional paper investments. Midas Resources has put together a powerful book titled 10 Reasons to Own Gold, discussing costs, benefits, risks, featuring full-color illustrations, weights, and measures. The book is free and can be yours by calling 800-686-2237. Paper investments are dwarfed by gold's 6,000-year history. Discover how gold may be right for you and your IRA by calling 800-686-2237. Whether buying or it's time for you to sell, the book is free. Call 800-686-2237.
If you're a man over 40, you may feel like half the man you used to be. Are you gaining more body fat? Are you feeling tired? Are you losing your sex drive? It's not your fault. After 40, your body's testosterone may start dropping. And if you are an African American man, you're at a higher risk of your testosterone turning into estrogen. Be the man you used to be. Call for a risk-free trial of Ageless Male, a natural supplement shown to raise testosterone by 61% and maintain healthy, normal levels. You can feel the youthful energy and the healthy sex drive you once had. And Ageless Male is all natural. No injections or appointments. Just one quick phone call. Get your risk-free trial of Ageless Male.
Call 1-800-497-8345. That's 1-800-497-8345. With Ageless Male, you can raise your testosterone naturally by 61%. Call 1-800-497-8345. That's 1-800-497-8345.
You don't need me to tell you that humanity is in a deep crisis. Everyone can feel it. We know a tectonic struggle is now taking place between the forces of freedom and those who love darkness, bondage, and enslavement. Yes, my friends, evil is rising. But take heart. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. Recently, New World Order operative Hillary Clinton admitted they're losing the info war.
We are in an information war, and we are losing that war.
The globalists are scared. They've overreached. The future of the info war is in your hands. Join prisonplanet.tv. Download the thousands of special video reports, ebooks, and more, and get them out to everyone you know. Continue to spread the word about the broadcast on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and every other globalist propaganda platform. We are going to use their system against them. The info war now goes into high gear.
Big Berkey water filters are in high demand. Storable foods are also in high demand. BigBerkeyWaterFilters.com has always kept our focus on the Berkey water filter products. But increasingly, our customers have been asking for storable foods. After months of research, BigBerkeyWaterFilters.com now offers great tasting, long-lasting, storable foods. These ready-to-eat meals are packed in airtight nitrogen pouches. All you do is just add water. And because they're sealed so well, they come with a 25-year shelf life. Combine our Berkey water filters, which are powerful enough to purify treated, untreated, or even stagnant pond water with our storable foods, and you have a winning combination. Remember, we offer free shipping on every order over $50, and GCN listeners receive 5% off all ceramic filter systems. Visit BigBerkeyWaterFilters.com or call 877-99-BERKEY. That's BigBerkeyWaterFilters.com or call 877-99-BERKEY today.
All right, your phone calls are coming up. The toll-free number to join us is 800-259-9231. You know, with all this stuff happening in the world, I'd like to hear what you think about Penn State, listeners. The students, most of them not caring and saying, keep the coach, who cares? How could they cover this up for 16, 17, 18 years? Greg, I want to get into world events with you and now where you see the world going because you accurately, from your research, predicted it. But just briefly in 1 minute. I see this whole Penn State thing as another window into how institutions inherently, when they compromise at any level with integrity, pretty much degenerate into total corruption. I mean, is this not an example of how corruption in institutions can just grow?
Well, yeah, 'cause it's not about football. It's about money. This is a big money center in this area. So it's always the story of the money. It wasn't the, they were covering up because this was a big profit generator. And it was a big profit generator also used by local corporate bigwigs to impress their clients, et cetera. So basically it was protected by the pool of the big boys. It's always a money story. And as soon as money poisons any type of...
But if they'd have burned the pervert instantly, it wouldn't have been any big deal. Why do crooks and the corrupt, why do the elite always think covering something up protects them?
Because they're used to it. They have impunity. They have complete impunity. Well, for example, in Vulture's Picnic, I have a story of Stephen A. Cohn, right? The guy's worth $7 billion. By the way, I shouldn't call it Vulture's Picnic. I should call it Job Creator Picnic, right? That's their new name for these billionaires. What does this guy do for a living? Does he create a job? He knows he's made $7 billion by investing in stocks. What do you mean he invests? He's a speculator. He seems to know which way a stock